Hello everyone, so welcome to our video lecture. So friends, in our last video lecture we have studied about thioerythroforms, right? Also we have studied about difference between DL configuration and RS configuration. We also studied about epimers and anomers. See, epimers and anomers are one of the two important parts which can be studied in isomerism, stereoisomerism, but it will also come in our biomolecules part. Okay, so let's continue with our topic. Racemization during reactions. Now what is this? Racemization is simply means for preparation of racemic mixture or formation of racemic mixture during reactions. Now we will study in detail about the reaction mechanisms and all, but let us understand what happens. I am giving you a few very simple examples, okay, through which you can understand how the reaction from a reactant with some reacting agent or attacking reagent, the formed product is a racemic mixture. Okay, so first understand with an example. See, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 but1ene or simply butene. When reacts with HBr, see, it is a nucleophile and HBr is a electrophile. This will be your electrophilic addition reaction. First of all, what happens? This alkene, it is having 2 alpha H here. So this is delta negative part and this is delta positive part. Okay, using electromeric effect, simply you can say this is having negative part this side. So this negative part will attack towards H plus part. Okay, and this bromine attaches here. So the product generated will be bromine here and hydrogen here. Now as I can see, here you have generated a chiral center. So you can understand during reaction, if the reactant, if the two reactants, or if you say the attacking reagent and the reactant are both optically inactive, then here there is a possibility that the product form will be optically active. In such a case, what happens? The product formed will be racemic mixture. Means DL, both forms will be generated. Racemic mixture must be produced in such a case. Means simply if I have to say in one word, I can say if the reactant was optically inactive, then the product generated will also be optically inactive. Why? Because in such a case, even if the racemic mixture is formed, it will be optically inactive due to external compensation, right? If one of the part will be optically active, then its mirror image will also be formed. Both cases are possible, and hence we have DL both forms produced in this reaction. Clear to you all? Simply if I see, this is alkene and this is your hydrogen bromide, HBr, okay, hydrobromic acid you can say. Then the product formed is 2-bromobutane, optically active. Second, one more example if I have to give. If I see R1, C double bond O R2, when it reacts with HCN, simply if I say HCN, then what will happen? Here you have nucleophile oxygen part, it attacks this hydrogen, and then Cn minus part will combine with this carbon. So the product formed will be R1 OH Cn R2. We can see here that this carbon is optically active here. This is generated as a chiral center. Clear to you all? So here also in this reaction, racemization occurs. Racemic mixture will be produced. Clear to you all? So in this case, racemic mixture will be produced. Clear? Done? Okay. Let's see one more example. See, if I see this compound, as we know, it is an enol form. Okay, this is enol. Now what happens here? If I say I am giving you acidic or basic medium, or in neutral medium also, here tautomerism occurs. Okay, so tautomerism, what will happen? Suppose I am just making one step. Okay, you can understand. CH3 having deuterium, double bonded carbon with H, this O. Suppose if I say minus H plus is removed, this will become O minus. This will make resonance this side. This minus comes here, C minus, and then this H plus will be attached here, plus H plus. Just to show you in simple mechanism. Okay, suppose it was base catalyzed, then this will occur only. OH minus will take this H, and then this will proceed like this. Now what we'll get? CH3, D, hydrogen will be attached here, and this will become. So dear students, here you can say that this carbon was not chiral. It was sp2 here, right? But here you can see chiral center generated. Okay. Now in this reaction also, I can simply say racemization has occurred. Racemic mixture will be formed. Remember, 50% of this and 50% of its mirror image will be formed. Okay. DL. Simply to write, if the product is racemic mixture, we can say the product generated will be also optically inactive, or DL pair, or simply DL. Clear to you all? Okay. Now let me give you one more good example. Okay friends, so observe this question very properly, because here you are going to learn one important concept. Yes, you can observe here also tautomerism is possible. See, I have just changed one thing. In our last question, this part was CH3, so I used here one chiral center. Okay. Now what will happen in this reaction? In this reaction, whatever may be the configuration of this part, it will remain as it is. Okay, so do not disturb that part of the reactant which is not involved in the reaction. Clear to you all? Until unless mentioned or as per the mechanism, always follow the mechanism. Clear? Now if I check this part, tautomerizes as, now we have two possibilities. I am drawing here perfectly. One will be this hydrogen as it is, CH3 as it is, deuterium as it is, this will be CH2. Now this carbon can be deuterium upside, this H will be removed, minus single double resonance, this hydrogen comes here, so hydrogen comes here, and this will be this part. Clear to you all? This is one case. Okay, or another possibility will be this is H, CH3, then this will be D as it is. Now this part is your CH2, now this part is D as it is. Now there is possibility that hydrogen will be this side. In 3 dimension, if we say, it comes like this. Okay, clear to you all? So students, here I can say that this carbon is having hydrogen and this is C double bond O. Okay, so with respect to this C double bond O, it is having alpha H, so tautomerism occurs. Clear to you all? So in such cases, this part is not disturbed in both the cases. Okay, remember this thing. But this part becomes chiral center after reaction. So either this configuration or this configuration. You can see in both the cases, if I compare these two, then there is a single interchange. Means this part will be R, suppose, then this part will be S configuration. Clear to you all? Okay, so remember this thing. In such a case, in reactions along the chiral center, both possibilities are there. Clear to all? Okay, so let's see one more important concept. Resolution. Now what is a resolution? See, here I just mentioned you about racemic mixture. In reactions, racemic mixture is produced generally. Okay, in particular cases, not always, but what happens, or suppose if I am given one optically active compound. Okay, now if it is optically active, its mirror image will also be produced. It can be produced. Now if we are given a container which is having racemic mixture or enantiomeric pair will be there. So how to separate it? As we know, the enantiomers have similar physical and physical properties are similar. So using physical property difference like melting point or boiling point concept, we cannot differentiate it. So we use a particular method of resolution. Okay, resolution, what is this? Method of separation of enantiomeric pairs. It is a method of separation of enantiomeric pairs, or simply you can say racemic mixture. Okay, means 50% of one form and 50% of another form. So resolution will be used. Clear? Now what happens? How to do this? Various methods are there. Mechanical methods. Mechanical methods means simply if the given compounds are crystalline form such that they can be mechanically separated, then only this method can be used. Otherwise it won't be used. Okay, so it is not used generally. One more method is biochemical methods. Now what is biochemical method? As I have already told you that these organic compounds which we are dealing here are important class of drugs as well as they are important parts of fertilizers. Okay, so what happens? These biochemical parts, biochemical method is what? Suppose we use any biochemical enzyme or any bacteria or any such insect which can disturb or destroy one part. Suppose we are having A and B which are mirror image and enantiomeric pair. So it will disturb or destroy completely one of the isomer, but the another will remain as it is. So in that way the separation is done. So this is also used very limited amount for particular cases only. So it is not generally used. But chemical methods. See, this is one of the best method used in the industry for separation of enantiomers. Okay, now let's study in detail about chemical methods. First point, optically active compounds can be resolved. Remember first point, optically active compounds will only be resolved. Means a compound is optically inactive, you cannot resolve it. If I say, you know, you won't even need to resolve it actually. Okay, second point, For resolution, the compound must not form its mirror image at room temperature. Third part, compounds which can be resolved are called resolvable compounds. Okay, see, the compounds in enantiomeric pairs which can be separated by using chemical methods are called as resolvable compounds, and which cannot be separated are called non-resolvable compounds. Clear? Okay. Suppose I am having D plus L form. Now what is the method of resolution? Chemical method. I am having this part. Now in enantiomeric mixture means same compound, one is D form and one is L form, plus D or L, any one, either D or L compound is added. Better to say reaction occur. Okay, reaction will occur. You are adding one compound. See, that compound must not be this compound. Okay, it is a very different compound, but it is optically pure, optically active. Okay. After reaction, what will happen? As we know, almost the chemical properties of enantiomeric pairs are also same. So this, suppose I am taking D here, D. Okay. Then this D form will react with D form. So we will get product DD form. Okay. Means, see, as I told that you need not to disturb the chiral part or chiral center carbon, this part, and here also. Suppose this is carboxylic acid and this is alcohol. Okay. As we know, in esterification reaction, carboxylic acid COOH part and this alcohol part OH part reacts to form ester. So in such a case, OH part of this compound and the COOH part of this compound need to react among each other. Rest of the part need not to be interfered. Okay. So one will be DD form plus one will be DL form. Now you can simply see what we have produced is distereomers. Now simply, when we have produced the distereomers, what happens? The distereomers are having different physical properties. Okay. And now, as we know that we have various methods based on physical property difference to separate, like distillation, fractional crystallization, and all these cases. Generally, the method of fractional crystallization are used based on their difference in solubilities in various solvents. Okay. So, suppose if I say fractional crystallization, it is not mandatory to use this only or any other method. Now what you will get? See, distereomer mixture is obtained here. Okay, here you have obtained this mixture. Now after fractional distillation, what will happen? You will get two different parts, this and this. You will get DD and DL, two different parts. As this is separated now, these two are separated. Okay, now let me tell, here you have not obtained D and L different. Here you have obtained this product and this product, but they are separated. Now, for an example, this was acid and alcohol. Ester is formed. these two are esters only, having configuration difference only. Now, after hydrolysis, this can be again obtained as alcohol and carboxylic acid simply. So by any method, another method, you can separate it as D plus L, separated. Okay, dear students, so this was the all about separation or resolution of enantiomers, okay, using chemical method. Now in the given compounds, you have to check whether the given compounds are resolvable or not. Okay. Okay, so dear students, let's check in these whether they are resolvable or not. Simple concept, if the compound is optically active, it will be resolvable. Okay, so let's see one by one. See, this carbon is having hydrogen and hydrogen, two common atoms, so non-resolvable. Okay, now check this one, hydrogen OH. So this is chiral center, this is also chiral center, but this groups HCH3OH, HCH3OH same. So let me check whether it is meso or optically active. So on even interchange, what I will get? Suppose if I interchange this CH3 and hydrogen, let me interchange and find it. CH3OH H. This part, CH3 will come here, hydrogen comes here. Now on another interchange, H comes here, OH comes here. See, this is your meso, non-resolvable. Okay, now let's check. This is optically inactive, this is also optically inactive, this is optically inactive. Let's check this one, lone pair, double bond of ET and pH. As we know, this lone pair will not be in resonance with this part because sulfur is having bigger size and vacant d orbitals. Okay, so here there is no case of resonance, so it is a chiral center, it is optically active, so it is resolvable. Okay, clear? Okay, this was your non-resolvable, this was your non-resolvable. Now let's check this one. See, this is, suppose considering this rigid, this methyl wedge and this is methyl dash, so it is optically active, so it is resolvable. Clear? Now check last one. Let me check whether you are correct or not. See, if you will be correct for this question, you can comment on the comment section. I'll check it because this is one of the important case. What happens here? It is having this side ethyl and this side methyl. Sometimes you can confuse, as it is also wedge, it is also wedge, but here methyl and here ethyl, so it is optically active. So it is resolvable. Okay, if both were methyl or ethyl, same groups, then you can say it is meso. Here you are having two non-identical chiral centers, if you remember. Okay, clear to you all? Okay. Check this one. See, in this question, what happens? This nitrogen is having lone pair hydrogen, deuterium and tritium. We can say this as nitrogen having CH4, it is a chiral compound. As it is a chiral center and only one chiral center, so this particular thing is a chiral compound. But students, here you need to understand what happens in this part. If I say about amines, you have to understand that it goes in flipping, continuous flipping. And due to flipping, what happens? This H comes here, D comes here, T comes here, and this lone pair. Okay. Now what is this flipping? Understand. Now this lone pair and this bond pair, there are repulsion. To minimize the repulsion, and it is having strain in this compound. So to minimize the strain, at a particular moment, this 3 comes in the plane like this. This is not observed, remember. Okay. And finally, it is flipped. H, D, T, and lone pair comes this side. This is your intermediate part. Through this intermediate part, a planar part is observed, and then this flipping. This is also called as amine inversion. Now, it occurs on continuous basis at room temperature only. Occurs in amines at room temperature. So now, dear students, you can understand, if I ask about whether this given compound is resolvable or not, so it will not be resolvable, non-resolvable. Now let's see this one, whether they are resolvable or not. See, here in this question, I can see that this is optically active, okay? It is resolvable. Nitrogen is having H, D, T and CH3. Now this one, no, here amine inversion occurs, so it is non-resolvable. Okay, now check this one. This is a chiral center, this is a chiral center, two non-identical chiral centers, so it is also resolvable. Okay, now simply if I ask what about CH4, it will be non-resolvable. If I ask CH2Cl2, it is also non-resolvable. Okay, clear to you all? So I think that you must have understood in detail about this method of resolution. Clear? Okay. Now see this one. See, this is having phosphorus with double bond oxygen, propyl, ethyl, methyl. So this is also a chiral center. This will be optically active. And hence you can say resolvable. Okay. Now let's understand this part. This will be resolvable or not. See here what happens. Firstly, you need to understand this compound. What is this compound all about? This compound is this carbon is your 4-degree carbon. Okay, 4-degree carbon atom. So you can say this is a spiro compound. Okay, now here let me explain all about such a spiro compounds first of all, then we will come to know whether they are optically active or inactive, and hence we can decide whether they are resolvable or not. Okay. See, they are called as, such compounds are called spiranes. Okay, spiranes. Spiranes. Okay, so what happens in spiranes? See, as we know cumulines, similarly you can understand that these two bonds are interchanged in this way. See, here you are having CH2 CH2, okay, and here again okay. So can you imagine this part and this part? Yes, you can imagine these two groups. Suppose if I say AB and this also AB, you remember this part and this part was perpendicular, right? Similarly these two rings will be perpendicular. Now if you say how it will be perpendicular, so students, as you know, this carbon is your sp3, and if sp3, so this is having two V-shaped part. Suppose if I say with respect to this carbon, this part and this part are planar in this plane only, then I can definitely say if these two are in this planar like this side and this side, okay, then definitely with respect to this, the remaining two will be perpendicular like this, two V-shaped, not like this but like this, V-shaped, but one will be away and one will be towards us. I can better represent it like see this AB, then this will be A and B, A and B. Okay, so dear students, you can understand this ring and this ring are actually perpendicular to each other, just like this. Okay, just like cumulines, this is spiranes, spiro compounds are understood. Clear? This is your spiro, two rings connected by 4-degree carbon atoms. Spiranes, these are called spiranes. Okay, now if I say this particular compound, then as this ring and this ring is perpendicular, see this ring in the plane, then this ring is like this. Okay, this is like this, then this is like this, perpendicular. So if I cut with respect to the plane, this part is that side and this B is this side, so this part will not be cut, this is cut then. So in that way, just like cumulines, we need to understand this part. Okay, now let me give you a few examples to understand whether they are optically active or inactive. Let's see the example of spiranes. Okay, so dear students, let's understand about spiranes, optical activity in spiranes. First of all, see this one. If you say this 4-membered ring, you can assume it as planar. Just as I said, it is very similar like this, right? So you can say if you cut in a plane, these AB and AB will be planar. So it is optically inactive, this part. Okay, now let's see this one. As we know, 1 pi bond, 3 pi bond, 5 pi bond, odd number, then they will be always planar. Now if I check this one, then what happens? Suppose this ring is planar, then this will be perpendicular, this will be again planar. So first and last will be planar. So this part and this part will be planar. So I can simply say this ring is away and this ring is in 3 dimension, it is like this. Okay, but these two are planar. So I can say that we can cut this molecule in two equal halves. So this is also having POS present, so it is optically inactive, means this one was non-resolvable as it is optically inactive. This is also non-resolvable as it is optically inactive. Now let's check this one. This ring is planar, then this is perpendicular. Okay, this part is towards you and that part backside of you. If this is in this plane, then you cannot cut because these two groups are different, these two are different. If I cut in a plane such that this ring is cut, then H and ME will be cut, but this H and ME will be, one is this side and one is this side, so you cannot cut. So it is resolvable as this is optically active. Clear to you all? Understood? So this is your resolvable compound. Okay, now let's check one more case. Case of alkylidene cycloalkanes. Now what happens in case of alkylidene cycloalkanes? Now first of all you need to understand what is alkylidene. See, remove one H. Ethane, this is ethyl. Now two valencies freeze. This is ethylidene. So alkylidene, you understand alkylidene. Now cycloalkanes, let me give you an example. See, this is alkylidene part from this cyclohexane, cyclohexane. This is alkylidene part, double bonded. Okay, two valency free. So from this carbon, you are having hydrogen and methyl. Okay, now if I am supposed that these two, this pi bond and this ring to be non-planar, then I am correct. Why? Because with respect to this ring and this pi bond, you can just imagine the same case as spiranes. So these two are perpendicular to each other, this part. So if this part and this part are planar, then this will be perpendicular. So it is also resolvable, means it is optically active. Okay, clear to you all? Okay. Optical purity or enantiomeric excess. So dear students, understand this topic. It is one of the most important part. Now what happens in optical purity if I say? I am explaining you with a very basic example. Suppose you are having a mixture of D and L. Okay. Now if you are having, suppose this D form 6 gram and this L form 4 gram. Okay. You can see here that one form is having more quantity and another one having lesser composition. Okay, as we know, this will rotate PPL in clockwise, it will rotate in anti-clockwise. So if they exist in same composition, it will be a racemic mixture, solution will be optically inactive. But here solution is optically active, but up to how much extent, how much composition of D or L is having pure form and how much is enantiomeric pair. Okay, so let me check. I can say here in such a case that optical purity equals to optical purity, the percentage of optical purity will be calculated using this formula. D minus L, magnitude part, mode part. Okay, I have taken mode here, right? Mode means positive value. upon D plus L into 100. See here, if I say the 4 gram of L will cancel out the 4 gram of D part, because both will be having ppl rotation in equal but opposite directions, but the remaining 2 gram will make the rotation of ppl. Out of total 10 grams, means out of 10 grams 2 gram will cause the rotation of light, means optical purity of this mixture is actually 20%. Let's see by calculation. 6 minus 4 mod value, to make it positive, just 6 plus 4 into 100, it is 2 by 10, 20%. In theoretical terms also I said 4 gram of L having ppl rotation anti-clockwise will cancel out 4 gram D ppl rotation, but the remaining 2 gram will cause ppl rotation. 2 gram with respect to 10 gram means 20% is optical purity of this sample. Clear to you all? Now, optical purity can be D minus L upon D plus L into 100%. Okay, then I can say racemic mixture equals to 100 minus optical purity. Clear? Racemic mixture will be 100 minus optical purity percentage. See, if I say D, L, 5 gram of D and 5 gram of L, as we know that it is a racemic mixture, right? If I check by formula, 5 minus 5 by 5 plus 5, 10 into 100, it is simply 0% optical purity. Percent racemic mixture will be 100%. Clear to you all? Okay. Optical purity can be found out using two different modes as well. Okay, one form can be optical purity equals to excess of one enantiomer over the other. Means we are having enantiomers having different or same compositions. So if they are different compositions, then with respect to one, how much is the other higher amount? So excess of one enantiomer over the other with respect to total amount of mixture into 100. This will give you optical purity. Clear? Okay. One more case. If we say with respect to rotation, then sometimes it is used for calculations in numericals. Optical purity equals to observed rotation upon observed rotation of sample. Okay. Now, specific rotation of pure form, means suppose you are having A and B, both are mirror image of each other. So for A, you will be having pure specific rotation of pure form, okay, or B, same magnitude, so that is fixed. And for mixture, you are having some observed rotation into 100. This will give you optical purity. Clear to you all? These two formulas. Now we will see using some calculations. Percent D, percent L. Optical purity, racemic composition. Let me simply use a few examples to describe this part. If I say D form 100%, L will be definitely 0. I am explaining in terms of percent only. D is 100%, L is 0. Simply you can say it is pure. So racemic composition is 0. Optical purity is 100%. Clear? Using the formula 100 upon 100 plus 0, 100 into 100. Now if I say D percentage 90 and this is 10%, what you can say? 10% will cancel out 10%. Remaining 80% will be optically pure part. Optical purity will be 80% and 20% will be racemic composition. How? This 10% L and 10% D, that is your racemic mixture, and remaining 80% D will be optical purity part. Which one? D. If I say 50% and 50%, you can see optical purity will be 0, 50 minus 50, D minus L, and this will be racemic composition 100%. D form plus L form, similar part, 50 this, then 50 this. Now if I say 30%, then this will be your 70%. Now 30% D and 30% L, so you are having 60% racemic and 40% your optical purity. Clear? Again, if I say 0D and 100L, so you can say optical purity is 100% and racemic composition is 0%. So this was just simply to let you explain optical purity and racemic composition. Okay. Suppose if I say optical purity is 100%, it simply means the enantiomeric excess of one enantiomer over the other is 100%. Okay. Let's take an example, A plus B. So we are having mixture given, okay, also given specific rotation of A equals to plus 20 degree. Clear? Now percentage composition of A in the mixture given 35%. Clear? Now you have been asked rotation of the mixture. Find the rotation on PPL. Okay, rotation of the mixture. What will be the rotation? Also A is mirror image of B, so it is having same compound mirror image relationship. Now let's understand using all the concept studied till now. Specific rotation due to A. Due to A, the rotation is 20 degree. So due to B, we can say rotation will be minus 20 degree. First thing is, okay. Now, percentage A, 35%. So percentage B will be 100 minus 35 equals to 65%. Clear? Now, let's check optical purity. B minus A, this is D form or L form, right? So it will be, if I say D minus L, then this is the D part, 35 minus 65, mod 35 minus 65 with respect to total into 100. What I get is 30%, means what you are having, pure form of B, 30%. Okay. Now, if the mixture will be 100% B, then the rotation will be minus 20 degree. But we are having pure form of B, 30%. So the observed rotation due to mixture will be observed rotation in mixture will be due to B and how much? Minus 20 degree into its 30%, means that is minus 20 into 30 by 100, that is your minus 6 degree. Clear to you all? So the rotation of the sample will be minus 6 degree. Let me explain you in simple theoretical way without any calculation. A is 20 degree, B is minus 20 degree. A is 35%, B is 65%, 100 minus 35. Now, A 35%, so B also 35%, plus 30%. B 65, but out of 65, this 35% of A will cancel the rotation of 35% of B. So remaining 30% of B will cause the rotation. So due to 30% of 20 degree, that is minus 6 degree. Clear to you all? So this was all about specific rotation, optical activity and enantiomeric excess. Okay. So I can also say the excess of one enantiomer means excess of B with respect to A here is 30 degree. Clear? And here, suppose you are asked percent racemic mixture, you can simply say 70%. Without any calculation, you can say if A is 35%, then racemic mixture will be 70%. Clear to you all? Okay. So students, we will continue in our next video lecture.